record. You guys should have a notice saying that it's recording. I would
Yep.
think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got it.
Stop recording. Okay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the second hour of the Friday Afternoon Music Mix. As we discussed at the beginning of the show today, I am honored and thrilled to have the Proven Ones in the studios by remote through Zoom for an interview today to talk about their music and the new album that they just released that we've been playing quite a few cuts for. Called You Ain't Done. And we'll take it from here and get a chance to talk to each one of the individual members and a little bit about their background and their music. Thank you for doing that. Actually, I got one of those as well.
Everybody's got their copy.
Yeah.
Mine.
Let me first of all, make sure that I've got the names correct. You guys tell me if I'm wrong. The musicians are Jimmy Bott, drums and percussion,
Yes.
Willie J. Campbell on the bass, Anthony Geraci on piano and organ, Kid Ramos, guitars, vocals, and Brian Templeton is the lead vocalist and harmonica. They all right, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I really enjoyed this new CD of yours, and Jimmy's going to give me a copy of the first one, which I'm anxious to hear as well. But the fella who sent this CD to me, I'm in gratitude to him, is Rick Lusher, who is your radio promoter and works alongside of another artist that I like very, very much that played on this CD and also co-produced it, and that's Mike Zito. And
Who?
Tell me a little bit about
Mike who?
That's great. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with Mike who?
Mike Zito. Oh, well, Mike's a buddy of ours that we've known for a while. I think I first actually met Mike when I had, shortly after I had joined the Manish Boys, and he came in to do a guest spot on the first record that I personally had played on with the Manish Boys. I can't speak for everybody else. When did you guys meet Mike?
When he went on the beer run for me, I think. Over the
In Clarksdale, right?
Yeah, I think that's
At the BMA.
Yeah, that week. Yeah.
We probably all met him at one time or another, playing various festivals. And last year at the Moulin Blues Festival was the first time I got the opportunity to play with him. But I think we've all known him for quite a while.
Yeah.
You got a lot of music history. I've been looking at your bios, and even though you guys today and living wise are on different sides of the United States, you've got a real rich history of music in your backgrounds, from the fabulous Thunderbirds to Ronnie Earl, and the list goes on and on and on. And tell me a little bit about each one of you, if you could, please, and where your background is from. Jimmy and I talked about this prior, and I'm anxious to smaller.
Oldest goes first.
That's me then.
Yeah.
I'm the old man of the group. Well, I've been, playing blues music literally for over 40 years. And when I went to the Berklee College of Music in Boston, that's where I met Ronnie Earl and, Mudcat Ward. And that was the beginning of Sugar Ray and the Blue Tones. We actually had a little blues band together before before Sugar Ray and the Blue Tones. It was with Ronnie Earl and Mudcat. And then we hired Sugar Ray to be in the band. And, Ronnie stayed with the Blue Tones for about 2 years or so before he left to go with Roomful of Blues. But after Ronnie joined Roomful of Blues, which was a big horn band, which is very different than like a five-piece Chicago or Texas-style blues band, I think he was still yearning to play that kind of music. And that's when he first started Ronnie Earl and the Broadcasters. And I was like the first keyboard player on the first two records that he did, Smoking and They Call Me Mr. Earl, that I did it with Ronnie.
Yeah, he's fabulous and still putting out records too. I think I got one not even a year old, if I remember right.
Yeah, I'm on Ronnie's last two records also.
Oh, you are? Fantastic. Yeah. That's great. You know, one of the things that you guys reminded me of too, especially with you and Brian being in the Northeast, I was on another radio station for 10 years prior to moving up here in Tucson, Arizona. And I was introduced to a band out of Boston called the Mystics that I really liked a lot. And then another one out of Providence, Rhode Island, which was Joe Fletcher and the Wrong Reason. And there's a lot of good music up there, a lot of good blues, rock, and alternative, you know, in America.
Yeah, the Northeast guys are all right. They're okay.
I know us here on the West Coast, we tend to be a little, you know, reserved when it comes to that kind of music.
Well, speaking of the West Coast, why don't we skip over to Kid and Willie? Kid?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Willie and Jimmy and I have known each other for a long time. Me and Willie played together for almost 40 years. And James Harmon Band, and then Fabulous Thunderbirds. Then, of course, Jimmy was in Rod Piazza's band and the Thunderbirds. The three of us played together in that band a good amount of time. And, you know, I'm out here in the West Coast in California and playing out here and traveling all over the world. I say almost 40 years. Hard to believe it's been that long, but I'm still here. I'm still alive. So nobody's throwing rocks at me.
That's great. That's great.
Willie.
Good Lord. I think probably goes back to, I met James Harmon when I was 17. I was still in high school. And James would take me around to meet different musicians. You know, that's how I met Hollywood Fats Band. James would sneak me into, you know, 21 clubs. We go to Smokey Wilson's club in South Central Los Angeles. And, you know, that's where I got introduced to guys like, you know, we got, well, Kid also, you know, Big Joe Turner and Pee Wee Creighton and, oh, good Lord. I mean, man, the list.
Jake.
Willie Dixon and have an interesting barbecue story that I'll share if we have some time later.
Okay.
But was introduced to James then, and then James and I connected, and it was shortly after that. James was healing from ulcers and started James Harmon Band back up after he had healed. And so I was the bass player. A year later, Kid was the guitar player. You know, a couple years later, Jimmy was with Rod, and then we've all known each other, like Kid said, almost 40 years. And we've traveled through Harmon Band, T-Birds, Managed, and now TPO.
Yes, I read where 3 of you were members of the Fabulous Thunderbirds.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Great.
Brian?
Yeah, I don't have quite the storied past.
Do you want
of
me
my-
to go first then? You want me to go before you? 'Cause mine's pretty good.
Well,
That's a good
I forget who's older, you or me. Who's older, Jimmy?
I think I'm a little older.
Okay,
What's that?
I said you go. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just joking, but well, my story, I can make mine pretty short. I was about 15 or 16 when I saw Rod Piazza in a local club in Northern California. And that was it for me. I just said, that is what I want to do. So I saved up that summer working for my dad. I bought a set of drums, and you flash to 6 years later, I auditioned and joined the band on my 21st birthday and moved to Southern California. I had played with a guy named Bird Hale, Paul Durquette, and Mark Hummel prior to that. And so I joined my dream band when I was 21, and I was with Rod for 10 years. And then that's when I joined the Thunderbirds. So went from the Thunderbirds, and the rest of it is, you know, with Kid and Willie. And then later we were in the Manish Boys together, and again, now TPO.
Brian?
Yeah, I mean, I was just my whole thing was it just kind of happened for me. I was always I grew up as a big rock and roll fan. I was into Black Sabbath, Blue Oyster Cult, those bands, and when I was a little bit older than I was, old enough to drink, I had a fake ID, and a friend of mine brought me down to see a band called Room Full of Blues.
Oh yeah.
Ronnie was playing with them at the time, and I still love all those rock bands and still listen to that music, but I hadn't really had a whole lot of experience with blues. When I heard Roomful play live, that 5-piece horn section, Ronnie Earl on guitar, standing up on tables, Al Copley was on piano at the time, Preston Hubbard was on bass, and it was just something happened inside me. I didn't immediately think I wanted to be a musician or anything like that. I just knew that I needed to hear more about this music. And I ultimately ended up becoming Ronnie's valet for a couple of years and drove him around to various places carrying his guitars, and basically went and listened to bands like Roomful, Sugar Ray and the Blue Tones, Duke Robillard, these local blues bands that were really the cream of the crop here. And I got to know all these guys by just going to all their shows. That's how I met Anthony. And a little while later, Ronnie really encouraged me to sing. He heard me singing, and so I just kind of fell into it. I was a late bloomer. I didn't get going until I was like 29 years old. I was going to blues jams and stuff, and Sugar Ray and a few other guys would let me sit in, and that was it. I ended up joining a band, forming a band called the Radio Kings, and we made a few records and got a chance to get in the van and drive around the country for about 8 years, and that's how I got my experience.
Oh, you've got a fabulous voice. And speaking of which, how did you enjoy that experience of recording on this CD, the one song with Ruthie Foster?
Well, I wish I could tell you Ruthie and I were in the same room together staring in each other's eyes while we sang, but that's just not how it worked out for us. That's how I wanted it to work out. But she did her part in Houston. I did my part in Louisiana when we first did the record. Just didn't work schedule-wise. I told her I'd be willing to jump on a plane and go to Texas, but it just didn't work out. I can tell you, though, that when I got the tracks back, because that was a song where I wrote the lyrics, and when I got the track back, Ruthie had sang the whole thing, and then we put it together with she and I. But I listened to the track back with her singing, and I just got tears in my eyes.
It's a great
because
song.
her singing lyrics that I wrote was just an experience that it was very overwhelming, and just I almost wanted to just say, don't even add my voice back in. I mean, that's how amazing it was. And she did an unbelievable job, and she did harmonies without me being there and the whole thing. So the experience of listening to that song back is just a great, great thing. And I hope and pray after all this craziness is over, that our paths cross and we're able to sing this song live someday.
Yeah.
Because she was supposed to be playing with us next month in Utah, or in June, but that festival's being pushed off a year. So maybe June 2021, Ruthie and I will sing that song together on stage. You never know.
And we'll play that today, called Who My Soul Loves, featuring Brian and Ruthie Foster. And there's a couple of other songs that I wanted to talk with some of you about. I know that there's a story behind the song called Melinda. Can you tell me that too?
I'll let Kid tell that story.
Okay.
Well, it was a song that I had in my head for many years, and I sent it to Brian, working on material for the new record. And Brian liked it. He goes, "I'd like to write some words to it, and give me a story about something that in your life." And I couldn't really think of anything for a while. And then he said, "How did you and Linda meet?" And I told him the story of how we met. On a date, I had seen a picture of her, and I told the friend that was with me, I said, "I'm going to marry that girl." And he goes, "I know who she is." So he set me on a blind date. We've been married 31 years. So I told the story of that, and Brian took that and wrote the lyrics. And And that's how that song came to be.
It's a great song. I love that a lot. And one other song that I wanted to ask Jimmy about was the dedication to his sister, and the song on the album called "She'll Never Know."
Yes. Well, that was a piece of music that Anthony, when we were compiling ideas for the record, Anthony had written a song, and he actually had that title, if I'm not mistaken. It was
That's correct.
the
I
song
sent
was
that
"You'll
to
Never
him.
Know," but there wasn't any words to it. And when I heard it, for some reason it made me sparked a memory of a poem that my sister, my late sister, had written to her daughter, my niece, who's now in her 40s. But she had written it to her when she was a little baby, and I just thought of that poem. I actually had to write my niece and say, "Hey, do you have a copy of that?" And she did, and it just fit into the song perfectly. What you hear on the record, the actual way that the song came out was not how we were originally working on it. We had tried several different things, and then we were in the studio, and we were trying a few seconds of 30 seconds of different grooves and whatnot. We hit on that one, and I believe that actual take there was right after everybody agreed that groove would be the best for it. But the story behind it being is that my sister had some undiagnosed for many years mental problems and substance abuse and whatnot, and she ended up passing away from that several years ago. And her daughter, my niece, became one of the most successful business. I mean, she's a beautiful person. She just also became a very successful person, and they were estranged. So she never got to enjoy that and share in any of that success. And the bridge or the chorus is what I always hope that Kathy was feeling towards Jamie, towards my niece, is that she was loving her and had these feelings of gratitude and she was seeing this from afar is what it basically. I mean, Brian sang the heck out of it, and
He sure
it's a
did.
tough song, but you know the good thing about that song is it could mean anything to anyone. That's what I keep hearing from different people, and I gotta say, mostly women, they just love that. There's a maternal instinct that comes through in that song, and it could mean anything though to any person that's uh, with their child, whatever their experience is and how they relate to it. But yeah, it's definitely a personal song, and I'm really glad that it made it on there. And Anthony did such a good job, coming up with the music on it, that it just all
Thank
worked.
you.
Oh, it's so upbeat. That's the
Right?
thing. You wouldn't really know that it was a tribute song and it's got that lasting 60s soul, sound to it as well. I think you guys just did a fabulous job on this album. All 12
Thank you.
songs are
Thank you.
just terrific. And I
You guys
wanted to
there?
ask you, oh, it's great. Now I wanted to ask you, is this the first time you had recorded on Gulf Coast, or was your first album on that as well? I don't have that in front of me.
Willie?
No, the first time on Gulf Coast. We had recorded the first record in Jimmy's studio. That happened. Sugar Ray Rayford was to be the original vocalist in the band. We had put together we had all worked together in the Manish Boys, and Anthony had also done some work with us in the Manish Boys. So we had been talking. We said, hey, we should try to keep this thing going. Randy Chorkoff became ill. Delta Groove was put on the back burner, and we kept thinking, boy, it'd be nice to just keep this thing going. So we were able to put a New Year's Eve show together, and we played that show with Sugar Ray Rayford singing, and said, oh man, hey, we need to do more of this. So after the first of the year, we started compiling songs, original music, obscure covers, and then we came up with a group of songs that we all wanted to do. We went into the studio to rehearse them, and Ray started getting busier and busier and busier. Well, we recorded the record in April, and we recorded it without vocal because Ray was just so busy and he was gone all the time. And then August came and Ray said, "Hey guys, man, I'm sorry, man. I am just overwhelmed with work. I got my thing going. I'm going to move in another direction." We said, "Absolutely. All the power to you. Do well." And then we're all, okay, what do we do? We've got some great music, and what do we do? Anthony says, it's the proverbial, "Hey, I know a guy." And
I know people. I know people.
yeah, he's Italian. Come on.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. And man, this was the match made in heaven. Brian has been the missing link. When we think about all our years together playing, Brian has been truly the missing link that we have all wanted to play, to be in a band with and to play music with.
Amen to that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
The
perfect.
combination, you guys, is just, it's fabulous. His voice adds a lot to this, but all these years of experience with each one of you, and then, adding in the horn and the alto sax and everything. I mean, you guys, to me, is as good as anything Muscle Shoals ever put together.
Wow. Well,
It's
thank you.
really,
Thank you.
really
Man.
excellent. I mean, I've
Thank
been
you.
around a long time. I've been a disc jockey for 15 years, and the minute this was the first one that I opened in a pile that was sent to me, and my jaw just dropped. I just thought, man, this is, there's rock, there's blues, there's great old soul in here. There's even some funk, there's everything. It's just, you hit the nail on the head with this one, and I congratulate you. And I'm enjoying playing your CD on my show, and my audience enjoys you as well. And I hope that, when this troubled time that we're in right now in our country gets behind us, that when you're on tour and you're up somewhere between Seattle and Vancouver, British Columbia, that you'll come by in the studio and come see me in person, because I would really, really enjoy meeting each
Yeah,
and
I'd
every
love
one
to.
of you.
You betcha.
Well, I'm going to wish you well. I'm going to thank Jimmy for putting this together. I'm so grateful to him for doing this. And we'll have you on the station's website, on their YouTube channel, as well as on mine and on my website. And send good wishes to all of you, and my sincere thank you for joining us today on the interview. And stay safe, guys.
All
Thanks
right, you
again.
too.
You
Thank
too,
you so
man.
much, Greg.
Thank you, Greg. Be
All right.
safe. Be well.
Take care
Thank
now.
you.